All right, we are live. How is everybody out there tonight? I am joined tonight by the legendary Larry Zerner. How you doing, man?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Well,
Hi,
thank you.
everyone.
Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I've never gotten to speak to you before, and I know everybody was super excited when I announced that you were going to be coming on. So yeah, it's should be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get at it.
All right, let's do it. Let's hit the ground running, man. No,
Do it.
we're not wasting any time around here. Let's go. All right.
Enough of the small talk. Enough of the chit chat.
Well,
Get to it.
listen. You're an attorney. All right. You're
Right. I'm billing by the
business.
hour. You're paying me by the hour.
I got you on
By the
retainer.
minute. By the fucking minute.
All right, so we better hurry up. I've always heard that nobody comes from Los Angeles; they come to Los Angeles. But you were born in L.A., right?
Born and raised in Los Angeles. Yeah.
Oh man,
My mom too. Second generation.
mm. You're an aberration then out there, huh?
Well, no, because all my friends who I grew up with, they also were born here.
Well,
So
well, when did you first get bitten by the acting bug?
I okay. So I was 11, and at my elementary school, they would do a musical every year,
Mhm.
uh, and I was cast in the musical HMS Pinafore, which is a Gilbert and Sullivan operetta. This is an 11-year-old doing this, but I was cast as Dick Deadeye, who is most people don't know HMS Pinafore or Gilbert Sullivan, but he's kind of the villain of the movie of the show, and he's got a bad arm, and he wears an eye patch, and it's a fun character, and I got cast, and I remember the first night we went. When I was like, "Oh, this is great," it was a lot of fun. And then, but the first night we went out, and Dick Dad has a little monologue where he talks about, "You all hate me. I'm miserable because I'm this ugly person." And I don't know what I said, but anyway, I got applause. Like the audience applauded, and I did my monologue. I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. Like the acting bud just bit me right there. I was like, oh, this is it. This is
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah,
Getting
So
that reaction from the crowd was a real high, huh?
so I can really point to the actual day where I was like, that's what I want to do.
Did you get any? Were your folks okay when you told them that you wanted to pursue acting as a career instead of something more stable?
They were fine
Hmm.
for the most part. They weren't super thrilled, but they're like, okay. I mean, they were okay.
That's good. That's good. They were supportive. That's good.
Yeah, yeah.
I understand you actually got discovered the old school. You got discovered handing out tickets at a movie theater. Is that right?
Close. I was so. So I've been studying acting. So from 11, I wanted to be an actor, but I wasn't doing professionally. I was just like acting in high school and doing plays and studying. And then for Friday 13th, so I was 18. I was in my freshman year of college, studying theater, and I had a job handing out tickets here in LA. We do sneak previews of movies, right? So you can go and see a free movie, and then you give your reaction to the movie. It's a common thing in LA, not so much in Kentucky, but it happens a lot here. We do it a lot here. So I was in Westwood on a Saturday night, and I'm handing out tickets to a movie from Australia that no one has heard of called The Road Warrior.
Never heard of
And
it.
anybody want to see this Australian movie starring this unknown guy named Mel Gibson? No? Okay. Anyway, so that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to get people to go see The Road Warrior. And these two people come up to me and they said, "Excuse me, are you an actor?" And I was like, well, yeah. I mean, I was like, they'd seen me in Greece at Fairfax High School. I killed as Roger. I didn't know what they were asking, but I said, yeah, I'm an actor. And they said, well, we wrote this movie and we think you'd be perfect for it. And that was Marty Kitrosser and Carol Watson, and they were the writers of Friday 13th 3. And they had, written Shelley, and Shelley, at the time, I was 50 pounds heavier than I am now, and I had the big afro. I look, you know what I look like if you've seen the movie. That's what I look like. And they saw that, and they were like, that's exactly what we pictured.
This is our guy.
Yes, that's our guy. So I gave him I had an agent. I gave him my agent's information, and a couple of days later, I got a call to come in and audition. And they couldn't, they're writers, so they can't give me the part, but I got the audition, and I got in, and it was meant to be. So
did you know that you were auditioning for a Friday the 13th or some movie called Aladdin Sane or something, some other Bowie song?
I knew it. They told me it was Friday the 13th Part 3, but you got to keep in mind at the time that meant a lot less than what it meant now, because the first movie this is 82. The first movie had come out, had done well. And then the second movie come out, not done so well, done about half the business of the first movie. And there wasn't this thing about Jason or whatever, because it hadn't been established, right? There was Mrs. Voorhees 1, Jason's Mom 2. And it was just a title. I'm pretty sure I had not seen either movie when I got cast. I just knew the title, like Friday the 13th Part 3. Okay, great. And but I didn't know anything. I don't remember. My friend says we rented both movies and watched them, but I don't remember doing it.
Shelley is, of course, the nerdy, lovelorn, typical jokester kind of archetype. Although you helped establish that archetype, I believe. They put you in these ill-fitting clothes. Of course, you mentioned the fro. It wasn't a very glamorous role. Did you ever look at yourself in the mirror and think like, what am I doing? Or like, what are they doing to me here?
No. I mean, you're playing a character and this is what you do. I think I didn't even realize I had a say in what I wore. It's like, here's the clothes. Okay, you wear them, because that's how I was trained. It's like there's a costumer, like these are your outfits, when you're doing whatever you're doing, someone just gives you a costume and you wear it. So now, like looking back, I go, I maybe would have thought more about what he was wearing, because I'm not sure those clothes were really Shelley. So I might have some more talk with the costumer about what exactly he should be wearing. It all worked out fine, but those clothes were just weird. Like, no one dresses like that.
I've always heard that on horror movie sets, especially when the blood comes out, everybody starts having fun. What was the atmosphere like on the set?
Well, we had fun. It was a very, because of the 3D, it was a very slow shoot. A lot of downtime. And the way it was, so the ranch, the place we shot was the Valuset Ranch, which was the house and the barn. They're practical. They're right there. Although there was no second story to that house. There's nothing up there anyway. But so that's where that's where all the filming was, right? The whole thing is contained except for the scenes at the store in the beginning. But all the dressing rooms and makeup and hair were about a quarter mile away from that. So we would have a 2-hour wait between every setup. So mostly we'd just be hanging out in this area where our dressing rooms were. And then, people who were shooting. We weren't really watching other people being shot. You weren't there on days. Like the way the movie is, you have the Chris and Rick scenes, and you have the Debbie and Andy scenes, and you have the Shelley and Vera scenes, and sometimes they're mix and match and Chuck and Jer, right? But otherwise, so sometimes you're there, sometimes you're not there. When you're around, we'd hang around on, in the dressing rooms and shoot the shit, or we'd just be there. But it was fun. And then, but like for the kills, everyone's alone. You know, you're alone for your kill, right? If you right, you remember the movie. There's no one there when you're doing your death scene, except Jason. And I didn't even have Jason. So wasn't like that.
But you got along with your co-stars. You guys hung out
Oh,
behind the scenes. Get into any
right.
shenanigans behind the scenes?
No, not really shenanigans. I mean, we had fun. I think. I mean, it was. I was having the time of my life. I mean, here I was. I wanted to be a professional actor. I'm cast in a decent role in a movie that I know, you know, a studio movie. I'm getting paid. And I mean, I'll tell you, this was 1982, and I'm getting $1,000 a week. And right, I mean, that's not bad now when you're 18. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Imagine what it was 40 years ago. I mean, right, it's the equivalent of $2 or $3 grand a week, at least, maybe $4 grand a week. I mean, it was some good money. And it's fantastic. And then I was still in school, and I'd be shooting, you know, 2 days on, a day off, right, back and forth. So I'd be going back and forth to school in between. It was the best. It was great.
Yeah. It's been said by many that director Steve Miner's focus was on the 3D setups and gags more so than the performances. Any truth to that?
That's 100% true. I mean, that's really where the stress was, getting the 3D right, getting the shot right, much less on the acting. Although, you know, so we didn't do a lot of takes like where he'd go, you know, I need a better performance. You know, there wasn't like the performance take where, you know, I think we do 2 or 3 maybe for most sets. And that was it. It wasn't a lot of, and then we'd like, you do a set, he'd do something, and then he'd, you know, cut, and then, you know, he'd say, okay, let's go again. And we'd be like, you know, was that okay? You need, you know, we wouldn't get much feedback. We'd have to ask, like, we're actors, and you're like, we don't know why we're going again, you know, if we're doing anything right.
Did he give you any actual direction?
First day, he said to me, don't do a character. He's like, just be you. Like, they saw, like, Shelley was me. Like, Shelley was me, right? I mean, Shelley's a wannabe actor, not good with girls, insecure, fat, all that. That was just me. I mean, there really wasn't much daylight between me and Shelley. So there wasn't need for me to put on you know, be extra goofy or whatever. And so I played it real to the extent that, like, okay, what would I be in this situation if these gang guys came up to me and did this, or if a girl, you know, if I tried to hit on her and she turned me down, what would I do? What would I feel? Right. So that was what I was doing, and so that made it easy. You know, it was my first movie, so that helps.
So I'm guessing that the hardest scenes were like, you know, throwing the wallet directly at the camera, or juggling so that the ball comes right up to the camera, right?
Well, hard in that's technically different. Easy, I mean, it's easy, you know, yeah, hitting the camera with the wallet was difficult, but it's not hard.
Right.
It's just, you just do it until you get it. You know?
Yeah. It required a lot of different, more takes to do that than the performances.
Yeah.
When it comes to Friday the 13th, there are basically 2 prevailing camps when it comes to who everybody's favorite Jason performer is. You've got your Richard Brooker people and your Kane Hodder people. Yeah. The big difference is Brooker only had the one film to cement his legacy as Jason with. I'm going to bet you're a Brooker guy. Am I right?
Well, I love Kane. I mean, I know Kane, and we see him a lot, and it's great. But yeah, I mean, Richard set the tone for Jason, who he was. And I think Richard has said that Steve Miner told him, you know, he's just a shark. He's just going to kill. That was his motivation. He's like, the shark is not good or bad. He's just going to kill you. There's no moral qualms there, and that's how he played it. And but you know, but he played with more, because there's some great stuff he does when, like, he's he takes off the mask and he shows Chris's face, and that's a great scene. I mean, he's good and he's quick. You know, he's scary because he's so quick. Kane is not so quick. Kane is never quick at all.
Yeah, he was like, I'm 6'4" and I'm a big guy. So next to Kane Hodder, I'm much bigger than Kane Hodder. But I met Richard Brooker before he passed away. Richard Brooker's was a big guy and taller than me.
Yeah, he's tall. I mean, the thing is, I didn't have much interaction with Richard on the set. I had much more interaction in the years after because we have no scenes together. You know, I don't get a kill scene in the movie. So I'd see him and he would be wearing his makeup and smoking a pipe, and we didn't really talk.
He had a really interesting life post Friday the 13th that a lot of people, I think, don't know about. There's that great documentary about him. But he invented something for the film industry that's like still in use today. And
he won an Emmy.
He won an Emmy for it. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, he was a brilliant guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So many people have taken credit for the inclusion of the hockey mask in part 3. The mask, as we all know, is more synonymous with Jason now than it is the sport of its origin. What do you remember about the mask? Was it written in the script to be a hockey mask, or who brought the thing?
I don't remember what the script said. And it's weird because, you know, Shelley has another mask. He has that mask at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's bringing 2 masks. This is how dedicated. He's got 2 masks he's bringing for the weekend. A lot of people took credit for the hockey mask. I know Marty Sadoff took credit for it. Steve took credit for it. No one asked me. They just stuck it in my hand and said, "This is the mask." I'm like, okay, that's all I remember. Here, it's just a costume. It's it's a prop. Here.
Too bad you didn't sneak away with that mask at the end of the shoot.
I asked them for it. I knew enough to go, "Can I have that mask?" I remember asking. They were like, "No." So I didn't get the mask. I did get the fake axe that Shelley wears in his head, and I got to keep that. And it's right over there. You can't see it, but it's up there. So it's in my office.
Very cool. What did your friends and family think about your performance in Friday the 13th Part 3?
Well, I don't know that anyone told me. Whether they thought it was good or bad. I mean, it was just such a trip to be in the movie. I mean, it was so fun. I remember so it opened, in August. I went the first night. So Friday night I went with my friends, and then Saturday night I went with my family to Westwood. For those of you who don't know, I mean, Westwood is where UCLA is. It's a big college town. It was a big scene. Sold out. It was a packed house, 3D. It was just fun. It was a great time, and I think everybody just had a good time. So that's how it was.
Friday the 13th was a success at the box office, of course, and it's now considered by many fans to be one of, if not the best in the series. The character of Shelley is just as identifiable as Jason when it comes to that entry. How does it feel to be a part in a pretty big part of the Friday the 13th legacy?
It's great. I mean, I didn't have a career as an actor, really. Like, this is it. But so to have, I know so many actors who, worked so much longer than I did or continue to work. And, you go, "What are you in?" And they're like, "Oh, I was a busboy and whatever." Or they, I can tell anybody I gave Jason his hockey mask, and they know what that is. I mean, it's a part of film history, and that, to have that little bit of film history is fucking amazing. It really is. It's great. I mean, so I'm so grateful that I had this. And that I still get, like 40 years later, you're asking to talk to me. It's insane.
I know. I mean, you've got the honor of being Here with me, right?
Pizowell, right?
You got it, man. You got it. Shelley was further immortalized when he was added as a playable character to the game. Along with doing Mr. Finkelstein's voice, you also did the motion capture, right?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw a photo of you in the suit with the tennis balls on your head. Oh,
you did not. You saw me a picture with Kane. Kane had the big. Kane. I went to see. Kane was doing some extra motion capture, and that's the picture you're confusing. I did not. The motion capture for all the counselors is the same.
Okay. Have you logged many hours into the game playing as yourself?
I did when in the beginning, but I haven't played in a couple of years. I was not that good at it. But that's certainly a bucket list moment, like to be in a video game. That's fantastic.
Oh yeah, definitely. Was the law something you always wanted to study and practice, or did you get to a point where you were like, I got to get a real job over here?
No. I mean, when so my dad is a lawyer, like he did corporate law, business law, transaction, really boring stuff to me. I was like, I'm never going to be a lawyer. Never. And then the acting thing, I got out of college and I'm still trying to, I'm doing temp jobs and this and that, but I'm not making a living as an actor and not getting anywhere. And my dad said he'd pay for law school. And I was like, well, I got nothing else going. And I took the LSAT and I did really well on the LSAT. Scored in the top 2%. So I had a knack for it. And I really liked law school. So it's all worked out. And, now I've been a lawyer now 30 years. And I love it.
And you chose the entertainment industry yeah. So.
Yeah, I always knew I wanted to do stuff in the entertainment industry. And it's worked out. And I have great clients and I represent a lot of people who are in the horror field and that's fantastic.
Yeah, actually, and I know you probably can't talk about it or give specifics, but I during the course of my research, I discovered that you represented George Lutz in a suit against the producers of the Amityville horror remake.
Right.
And I just thought it was interesting that, you got pulled back into the horror genre, even as an attorney.
Well, no, but that was because before that I had represented Dan Farrens, who later went on to direct Crystal Lake Memories, but he had called me because he had written a script and it hadn't gotten ripped off, and he needed a copyright lawyer, and that's why I specialize in copyright law. And so we're talking about the case, and he had been referred to me by another lawyer he knew and then we're having a call, and then at the end of the call, he's like, "Did you play Shelley in Friday the 13th?" Yeah. So, but the case, really, you needed to know, like the history you need to know about horror movies to get the case, because it wasn't a case where they had taken the movie. It was like a case where they'd taken the character. Mm-hmm. So like if you take Jason or Freddy and put him in another movie, well, it's not the same movie, but the character is the same. And that was the issue. And so you sort of had to know what that means for horror movies. And so I really think my knowledge of horror movies came in handy, because I was able to get the case, and then we got it settled, and it was all great. And whereas I know the other lawyer told me, like, they do nothing about horror movies. Like, they had to go watch The Exorcist and whatever, Friday the 13th, because they didn't know. But you can't do it, right? If you don't know it, it's not in your blood, you just don't understand what these things are.
Well, did you grow up a horror fan, or did you kind of?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And any personal favorite horror films?
Actually, Dawn of the Dead was always my go-to favorite. I saw it opening night, and man, it was just like that opening scene where they're going into the apartment building, and like I had no idea what to expect. You know, it is nothing like Night of the Living Dead, right?
No,
nothing.
no.
And you're just like, what did I do? Why did I pay money to go into this hellhole? That first, 15 minutes until they get on the helicopter is just so intense in a theater. I mean, and you're just like, oh, and then they get in the helicopter, you can finally breathe. And nothing has ever got me like that in a theater since then. It was just so, and then it goes, it has these moments of horror and then these moments of comedy. It's just brilliant movie.
Yeah, it's an incredible film, definitely. Yeah. I discovered something fascinating about you doing my research, because I take these things serious. I'm a professional here too. You know what I mean? So, you were a contestant on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, is that right?
Well, yeah, but I didn't get in the hot seat. So I was on it for like 5 seconds. It's like, put in your things. Oh, you didn't make it. Okay, you're done. So that was my millionaire.
But that's not your only brush with game show stardom. I don't know if that's anyway. You won the Last Man Standing edition of 1 versus 100. How was that?
That was fantastic, as you can imagine. So there was a game show. It's called Last Man Standing. No, it's called 1 versus 100, but where it was one person versus 100, and really the one got the money for one episode. They changed the rules, and they went, we're going to have 100 people, and we're just going to ask questions until there's one person left, and whoever that is gets the prize. And I was on, and I'm pretty good at the trivia stuff, but it was Ken Jennings, and it was Brad Rutter, who's the second Jeopardy champion, and there were some millionaire people who had won the million on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. There were some other game show champions on the thing, and then just some normal people. I was just a normie in there, and then turned out I outdid Ken Jennings because I knew that Larry King had been married more times than King Henry VIII. That was the question that got it down to zero, and got me the money, and I won $250,000. So that's a pretty good day's work.
That's a good day's work for sure.
Wasn't expecting that, but a lot of fun.
That's pretty freaking cool, man. Pretty cool. Have you followed the rest of the Friday the 13th saga? Are you familiar with the other films? Oh,
sure. Yes, I've seen all of them. Yeah, although it took me a while before it wasn't like until 2019, I finally saw part 7 in the theater. There was a screening, and saw 7, and I was like, God, this movie is horribly edited. I mean, they just slashed it up. I mean, it's just like, it's like a porn movie where you just cut away whenever anybody takes off their clothes.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. That was disappointing.
The MPAA really had it out on those movies, particularly after part 3 on. I mean, they really had a hard time with the MPAA.
Yeah. No, yeah, I've seen them. Yeah.
I'm assuming part 3 is your favorite, but second favorite, third favorite?
I think 6 is great. Beginning to end, it's so strong. I think the opening of 9 is so great. I love that. 2 is good. 4 is I love. I would say those are my the ones I like. I'm still not over like going to see Jason Takes Manhattan in the theater and like, what the hell was that?
Well, now be careful, because we've got the writer of Jason X in the chat.
I like Todd.
Okay.
No, Jason X is strong. I love this. Some great that ice kill. Right, that's fantastic. I mean, it's funny. It's got some great stuff. I'm a Jason X fan.
Okay.
It's Jason Takes Manhattan because it was so badly advertised. Like, where's Manhattan? Oh, okay, we got 10 minutes at the end.
Yeah. Not a lot of Manhattan Jason didn't take a lot of Manhattan in Jason
No.
Takes Manhattan.
I mean, when they got there, it was great, but it's like all the stuff on the boat is like, oh man.
Yeah. Oh goodness. When did you first become aware of the Shelley fanfare?
Right at this moment.
You've had to know that Shelley is a fan favorite before now. You've gone to conventions. You
yeah,
can't
yeah.
fool me.
No, I mean, yeah. Look, well, because I go to conventions, so there's a hierarchy of conventions. Jason's at the top, very top, right? People want the Jason.
Right.
Then the final girls, right? They're the next level. Then there's that third level, and I'm somewhere in there, right? The me, maybe Cretan Duke. I don't know who. Some of the more memorable characters from. I don't know. They're like the guy characters in Friday the 13th tend to be somewhat forgettable, right?
Well, not Shelley though.
Not Shelley, but no,
Shelley.
I mean they're all sort of this bland, hunky, right? They sort of blend in to one to another.
Right.
So Shelley stands out. I mean, obviously, a lot of people relate to Shelley because they relate to him, and I understand that because that's who they're not hunky. they're overweight and not doing well with the girls, and so there's that. Look, but there's a strong 25% of people out there who hate Shelley. Just like, I can't stand Shelley. I know they're out there. They're nodding right now, going, "God, yes." It's fine. I get it. He's annoying. He does all these stupid things. So I get it.
Like I said, you've been to conventions. You're pretty active on social media. What's your encounters been like with fans, both online and in person?
Oh, everyone's fantastic. I mean, I've never had a bad experience with it. It's amazing. I mean, that anybody would go and say, they appreciate you, they like you, they like the movies. I mean, that these movies have I like when I was a kid, I went through this Universal monster phase, right, where I loved Frankenstein and Dracula, and I realized that for this generation, whether the millennials or the Gen Xers, right, the Friday the 13th, right, Michael and Freddie and Jason are Frankenstein, Dracula, and Wolfman. They're the equivalent in terms of. So it's like I am the equivalent of the guy who played Igor in Frankenstein, right? Or, it's like you weren't the lead, but you were there, and that's a thing. And if I met Igor from Frankenstein, I would have freaked out, and so I sort of understand. And I forgot what the question was, but I think
you covered it. You got it. Yeah. This is actually not the first time you've been on my channel.
Okay.
Now, couple of
Did you have porn? Were you showing porn?
No. 3-4 years ago, I did a stream to raise funds for Camp Novi Bosco. That's the camp where the first Friday the 13th was shot. Well, during part 3, because we did a marathon, during part 3, you jumped on and you did something very special for us. Now, you're not going to be able to see this image, but everyone watching will. I'll tell you what the image is here momentarily. But there you are, juggling for us.
Okay.
You actually said the topic of juggling came up, and if you can see the look on all of our faces, there's Vincente DeSante from the director of Never Hike Alone. There's Jason Parker, the webmaster for Friday the 13th, the franchise.com. And so the topic of juggling came up, and you said, "But let me go get my balls." And you came back and you juggled for us, and the looks on our faces there in that screenshot speak for themselves. So that was very cool. I have
a vague memory of
that. Yeah, very, very, very cool. let's talk about the lawsuit, which is just recently wrapped up. The lawsuit between Sean Cunningham and Victor Miller has been a thorn in the side of Friday the 13th fans for such a long time. It successfully put a halt to any new movies getting produced, new content for the video game to be added, and so on and so forth. The copyright termination provisions, as I understand them, aren't anything new. It's actually something that's been used fairly frequently in the music industry for years, right?
No, not for years, because it actually didn't. The earliest it could have been done was 78 and 35, 2018. No. Is that what? I can't do my math. What's 88, 98, 2008? No, 2013. So before 2013, because it's 35 years for works after 78 and 56 years for works prior to 78. So really, for the post 78 works, it started in 2013. And so my dog's going crazy. Is that,
they don't want us talking about the lawsuit. They're tired of hearing about it too, I think. So it's not something that's been happening for years.
I'm going to close the door.
Okay.
All right, guys, be quiet. All right, I'm back. So yeah, it actually hasn't been going on very long. And although you're supposed to be able to terminate the record companies, the movie studios, if they have a way of challenging the termination, they will. And because there's so much money at stake for some of these things. I mean, obviously not for everything, but the idea is you'd come in and you'd terminate, and it doesn't stop the ability to them to exploit the works that already exist. It stops them from exploiting new versions of the work, new iterations of the work. And to make it more confusing, only in the U.S. because the termination only applies in the United States.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so I think everybody has at least some idea of how the notices of termination apply to the Friday the 13th case in particular, but do you mind giving us maybe a more thorough understanding? You kind of did, but is there anything more that you can add to it to maybe make it a little easier for us to understand?
So Victor had assigned his rights to the movie to Sean's company, Horror Inc. And under the law, after 35 years, he has to give 2 years notice. He has to tell them 2 years in advance that he's going to terminate. So they have time to do what they're going to do. So, so he sent out the notice, and then 2 years later, the termination went into effect. It went into effect in June of 2019, I think, is when it went into effect. But he sent it in maybe 2019. But once it was sent, Sean filed a lawsuit for a judicial declaration that the termination notice was ineffective, because Victor should be considered. You can't terminate if you were an employee at the time of the transfer, or was a work for hire. Under the rules, for it to be a work for hire, you have to have an agreement that says it's a work for hire, and the contract between Sean and Victor did not say it was a work for hire. So Sean had the burden of proving Victor was his employee, but that's what the case was about. Are you an employee? Well, you didn't you give him an hourly wage? Can you give him other work? Do you supply him with a place to work? Do you supply him with the equipment to work? Do you treat him as an employee for tax purposes? These are all, there's a bunch of other factors that the court looks at. And when you apply the factors, it was clear that Victor was not an employee. There were few factors that were in Sean's favor, but most of them were overwhelmingly in Victor's favor. I mean, most of it, it's like it was a one job thing. You got $9,000 to write this one script. You're not an employee to work endlessly on and of the company. Mm-hmm. And Sean didn't treat him as an employee for tax purposes. He didn't give him unemployment insurance or pay any of that stuff. And that's bad when you don't do that. And it's hard for you to say you're an employee when you don't treat them, you can't have it both ways. Mm-hmm, you didn't pay the taxes. So I mean, I thought it was a long shot from the beginning. I didn't think Sean had better than 20% chance of winning. But, with the millions of dollars at stake, he thought it was worth it. But so Victor had won at the lower court, and so Sean had appealed it, asking for the appellate court to overturn that decision. The appellate court said, no, it's exactly right. That was exactly right. He was not an employee. The termination's fine. He's terminated.
Right. And it took him 2+ years to finally come to that, though, right?
The appeal oral argument was heard in February of 2020, and it took till last week to get a decision. So yeah, that's a long time. That's a lot longer than normal. It shouldn't take that long. But one of the judges passed away.
That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
During the period, and that may have probably had an effect on why it took so long. Does Sean have any other recourse at this point to continue fighting, or is it just done? Well, in theory, he can ask the Supreme Court to take the case. There is no chance the Supreme Court will take the case, but he can ask. He probably will ask. You probably see a story. They filed. I think they have 30 days or 60 days to file a petition. I mean, they'll do it because why not? But no, the Supreme Court's not going to take the case. There's no issue for them to take. They don't care. I guarantee none of the justices have seen Friday the 13th, except probably Brett Kavanaugh, who was probably right of the age to see Friday the 13th Part 3. He was probably about 13 when it came out. So I can imagine he saw it. I don't think any of the others ever know what the movie is, care about the movie. Anyway, not going to happen.
So, something else that's been very confusing for a lot of people is what exactly did Victor win and what does Sean still own? How much of Friday the 13th is Victor's? How much of it is Sean's? And can you make a Friday the 13th movie? Sean, you mentioned it about it. The provisions only apply to the U.S. So Sean could go to across the pond and make as many Friday the 13th movies as he wants, right?
Right, but no one makes a movie that you can't release in the United States.
Exactly.
And similarly, Victor can make a remake of Part 1 in the U.S., but no one's going to make that either, right? No one's going to do anything that is just U.S. So so what does Victor own? He owns the script to the original movie and the right to make derivative works from it. And so since Jason, Big Jason, I'm looking over your right shoulder, right? That Part 3 Jason is a derivative of Baby Jason. Yes. Since Jason is derived from the Jason from Part 1, and that was in the script, they can't really do anything with Big Jason because it would be a violation of Victor's rights, even though Victor didn't come up with anything having to do with Jason being the killer or didn't even want Jason to be the killer, but that's too late now. He got the credit for the script. He got sole credit, and So
even though he didn't create adult hockey mask Jason, he can still sue you if you try to make a movie about adult hockey mask Jason.
Right, just like there's it's become a common thing, and you take any character and make them younger or older, right? That's just right. We have young Sherlock Holmes. Wicked is young, Wizard of Oz people, right? That's right. So taking the characters and then say we're going to make them younger or older is not uncommon. It's the same character, and therefore the copyright owner gets to decide if that's done or not. Otherwise, anyone could do it.
What does a ruling like this mean for the entertainment industry as a whole going forward? Because it sets a pretty major precedent, does it not?
Well, no, it doesn't, because where Sean screwed up is that his contract didn't say this is a work for hire. The reason it didn't say this is a work for hire is because he had used a WGA form contract that was outdated. The law had changed in 1978. He was using the form from pre-78. He had a 1977 form. This was 1979. If he had gotten a new, we weren't pre-internet days. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, you just go to the WGA and right-click and download the new form. That didn't happen back then. You just had a contract, and these guys did. You're not up on copyright law or whatever that you needed a new form. So it doesn't really happen that often because everyone knows to put in the contract to work for hire, and then you don't have it. So it wasn't really precedent setting because they were just applying the law. These issues don't really come up too much because you don't have situations where the contracts say it doesn't say it was a work for hire, and yet there's an issue about whether he was an employee or not. And even then, it's fact specific, so it's not really precedent in any way at all. Except Sean's lawyers tried to argue that because Victor was in the union, WGA, and that talks about being an employee, that somehow should have some weight in the factor. And the court said, no, we don't think so. They didn't buy that argument, so that argument didn't go.
Okay. So what would it take for a new Friday the 13th film to go into production?
Victor and Sean to come to some agreement on how the money is going to be split.
Okay.
That's all they need. But somehow they can't come to an agreement. I mean, they haven't been able to, and I think there's a lot of bad blood now. I mean, so I don't know if they're close or far. I mean, people want a movie, but I don't. These guys are old. Victor's 81. Sean's going to be 80 at the end of the year. Are they just going to go, well, is Sean going to say, well, it's my ball and I'm not going to play with Victor. I don't want to see him make any money from that. So he can do that if he wants to. Or will they come to some agreement? I think in my advice for them would be to go do some kind of baseball arbitration. It's very hard to decide, like, what is the number that they should get? All right, so if you can't, there's no precedent. You can't really. There's no book where you go, this is what it should be. So I think something like baseball arbitration, where both sides give a number, and what the percentages should be, and then an arbitrator says that one's better. So that gets both sides more likely to, you don't try to come up with an extreme number because you'll end up losing. And I think that would be the method. If I was in charge, that's what I would tell them.
Okay. We do have a couple of questions from the audience here. Okay. Just Me asks, do you keep in touch with the Friday cast like Dana Kimball, or the Friday 3 cast like Dana Kimball?
Sometimes. I mean, we're on Facebook. We're Facebook friends. I talk to this year I've talked to Tracy Savage, and I talked to Jeffrey Rogers, and I talked to David Kadam. Paul Kratka lives in, oh my God, like an island in the middle of the Pacific, or not in the Pacific,
oh wow,
somewhere between Australia and Hawaii, like halfway between Australia, like it's a little tiny island. I don't know. That's where he lives. So I don't talk to him. And and Rachel wants nothing to do with the series, so we don't talk to her. So, but yeah, I talked to people.
Entertainment Wizard asks, Larry, what do you remember about the original ending to part 3?
Well, there was another ending they shot. There was the original ending in the script, which is in one of the novelizations where, and so they all ended with kind of a dream sequence, right? They were just different dream sequences. So in the first iteration, Dana goes into the barn and all her dead bodies are lying there. And then I think Jason kills her. But I just remember there was going to be a scene where we're all going to be dead in the barn. And I'm like, oh, that'll be fun. We'll all be together. It's the only time we're all together. It didn't happen. Then there was the one they shot where she's in the canoe. She wakes up. She sees Jason. She sees Rick in the window in the cabin. She gets out. She walks in the cabin. You see Rick in the big window on the inside, walking parallel with her. And then she gets to the door. She opens the door. It's Jason. He chops off her head. They shot that. It looked great. I was there. It looked fantastic. There are pictures. There's no video, but there's pictures online. We did look for the footage when they were doing Crystal Lake Memories. Could not find it.
That was like an entirely different look for Jason too. This was the final look. This was a Stan Winston design, wasn't it? Or did he do the first one?
He did the first one.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah, then it was Doug White who did the finals. Yeah, and so it looked great. I thought that was a great ending. It looked fantastic. They should have used it. I don't really like the Mrs. Voorhees coming out of the water. It makes no sense. If you haven't seen the first one, you don't even understand it. Anyway, this other one was much more of a shock because you saw her, you were like so relieved. Oh my God, Rick's alive! I got popped out. Like what? And then just the way they shot it with you see him walking, and then they open the door and it's Jason, and then her head comes off. It was great.
Yeah. I've seen the photos. It looks really cool. And Jason's mother coming out of the water with the worms on her face, and that's the puniest lake. You can tell that's a man-made lake. There's no.
It is a man-made lake.
Yeah. That's a puny lake.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think we've got a couple other questions here. The Horror Garden asks, any upcoming conventions? If not, how can we get an autograph?
I don't have anything officially on the books, but next year, 2022 will be the 40th anniversary of part 3. So we're planning on doing a bunch of conventions. So I should be doing a bunch next year. So look around. And if there's a convention near you, just ask the promoter to invite me. I really want to do a lot of, I've been cooped up at home for 2 years, and I'm really love to do some conventions. So if you ask your friendly horror show promoter to invite me, and I'll be there.
Larry's ready to get back out on the road. Let your horror promoters, your horror convention promoters and organizers know that you want to see him at their next event, and that next year is the 40th anniversary. Jeez, gosh, 40 years, my God. Zombie7979 wants to know your thoughts on the Predator copyright termination suit with Disney, the writers versus Disney.
Don't know anything about it.
Okay. They're I believe Jim and John Thomas, I believe they're trying to do the same thing that Victor Miller did for their original Predator script. I know there's others.
I don't know what the issue is, so I don't know what to say.
I think several of like the Marvel properties are going to be in that boat here very soon.
Yeah, that's I can go on for that one. I mean, the same lawyer, Mark Toberoff, Victor's lawyer, is handling that. He did the Jack Kirby case. That's a long shot case. Their whole goal is to get it to the Supreme Court. We'll see if the Supreme Court wants to take it.
And I believe, if I recall correctly, the estate of Wes Craven got back the rights to Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
And I believe there was Clive Barker recently got back the rights to
it's a lot easier for those guys. They had a lot more clout when they were writing. They didn't get pushed back.
Yeah. Any projects you're working on now? Any new acting gigs you want to promote?
I do not have. I do not have any. Do I have any acting gigs? I'm not. I do not have any acting gigs I'm promoting now. But I'm available. I'm in SAG. If you want me to be in your SAG movie, I'll do that too. I charge less for acting than I do for legally.
Who's your agent?
Stuart Robinson.
Okay, I was going to offer my services if you didn't have one, but you're already agented up, so. Oh, darn.
Okay, all right. Well,
call me first.
You want to give a part? You call him. I'll give him the
Call me first, yeah. We were supposed to have a special guest jump on to ask you some questions, but they are running late. I don't know if they're going to be able to make it, and I've covered all the bases I wanted to cover. I'm done. I'm done with you.
All right, I understand. I'm done with you. We're done with each other.
No, man, I want to thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun. You're awesome. I appreciate your time and all the great stories and everything. And of course, the great insight that you gave us about this case, because there's been so much talk about it and so much speculation. It's good to...
let me just say one thing.
Please.
People keep asking me, does this mean they're going to do stuff to the game? Is this a thing? No, they're not doing anything in the game. The game, they're done with the game. They can't do it. No one's doing it. There's no more updates to the game. There's no money in doing anything in the game. If you want to give the guys a gun $10 million, maybe they'll go do it. But until then, but the hope is that when they do a new movie, they will do a Friday 13th 2 game, right? They'll make a new game. That I think is a possibility. There'll be a new game when they make a new movie.
You are on Twitter and on Facebook. If you
not on Facebook, yeah, don't use Facebook. I really hate Facebook. So
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. So, but Larry is on Twitter. If you guys want to follow him, go check him out.
Zerner Law for legal stuff, and Larry Zerner for acting stuff. I have 2 accounts.
Okay, I think maybe our special guest is going to jump on. They're messaging me right now. This is somebody you know. He said he's on his way, Larry. This is going to be special. This is going to be special. So somebody throw out another good question for Larry here. Actually, somebody just asked a question about the video game. Right. Larry covered that.
Not happening.
Not going to happen. Yeah, they and Gun Media has made it very clear that the game is done. That Friday the 13th, the game is done. They're not adding any more to it. They're not doing anything with the servers. It's done. Done. So, let's see. Okay, here we go. Here is now, just to let you know, Larry, if this person gets out of line, I've got my finger on the dump button.
Will I be able to hear him or see him?
Absolutely. Okay, here he comes. Again, fingers on the dump button. If he gets out of line.
All right.
Hold on, here he comes.
Sorry, getting my
video. Look who's there.
Oh, sorry. What's up?
I see his name. Hey, Pete.
There he is.
Hey, Larry. Hold on, let me turn my volume up. What's going on, you guys?
Hey, Pete.
Hey, Larry. What's going on? Good, long time no see. I mean, I think before COVID. I haven't seen you in.
Yeah.
You
didn't come see Dan's movie yesterday.
No, I did. I had a couple other things going on. So how was it?
It's great.
Yeah, good. All right. Are you in this one, Larry?
I'm not in this one.
All right.
So we're talking about our Dan Ferens, who directed Crystal Lake Memories and has a new movie out called American Boogie Woman.
Yes.
Aileen Wuornos story. Peyton List plays the young Aileen Wuornos, who was made famous by Charlize Theron in Monster.
Yes.
Which also starred Kane Hodder, by the way.
Did it really?
Kane is the cop who arrests her at the end of the movie.
Really? I did not know that. So I'm going to try to get some better light. I have terrible light.
Isn't it? No, because it's so ironic because who arrests the monster in Monster Getting hotter.
That's really funny. I
That
didn't
makes
know that.
sense. That makes
Yes,
sense, doesn't it?
So anyway, but this is anyway. So that's
very cool.
We've had quite an all-star stream here. We've got Jamie Blanks and Todd Farmer in the chat. Peter Brackey's hopped on here.
Hi, Jamie. From Australia.
We're rocking and rolling here.
You want to introduce Peter to people?
Listen, Peter needs no introduction on my channel. Okay. Peter's been on my channel a lot, but everybody loves Peter. Everybody in the chat's like, "Oh, it's Peter. Brackey's back." Oh, so
thank you so much. Very nice, very kind. Hello, everybody. Hi, Jamie and Todd. Sounds good.
So we were talking about the lawsuit, of course, the infamous lawsuit that's now over. And I understand.
Well, is it actually over? I mean, is this it? Is there?
Pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, they can try and get to the Supreme Court, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I had a question. Maybe you guys talked about this already, but so if I'm correct, that Victor then would, I guess, own control or have rights to just the first movie in domestically. So does that mean then, like any future movies, someone has to make a deal with Sean and Victor in the studio?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So how likely is that, or complex is that going to be? Yeah, that's a good question.
That's the issue. They can't make a deal. They got to make a deal on what the money split is going to be. But I was going to say, so I take credit for all of Peter's success because this happened 20 years ago at the 20th anniversary of Friday the 13th. I met Pete for the first time. There was a screening of part 3 in 3D. It was the first 3D screening in LA since the movie had come out. And I went, and Steve Susskind was there, and Richard was there, and
Paul Cracker.
Paul Cracker was there. And we did a Q&A, and I had brought a poster, and the guy running it had done it. Said, "Can someone name all the movies and all the directors?" And this skinny little kid came up. He's like, "I can do it." I couldn't even do that. Named all the movies and all the directors. I don't know if there were 8. Was it just 8 by that time or 9?
No, we were up to Jason X by that point.
Okay. Good. And then he called me a couple weeks later, right? And he said, "I'm writing a book. I'm going to want to write a book about Friday the 13th. Can I interview you?" And I think I was your first interview.
I think it was, well, the screening was August and I started in October. I think it took me a little longer, but the idea was born there. When you guys on the panel, I'm like, why isn't someone done a book or something on this? This is crazy. And I remember
that was my idea to get together for that, because I saw the screening and I called the New Art and I said, "Can we do a Q? Can I get the people together and do a Q&A?" They're like, "Great." So
oh my God!
You even sent me a book. You were like, "Oh, this is a great format." It was called Live from New York.
I said to do it as an oral history.
I think I see what's about to happen here. I think Larry is going to file for copyright termination on your book, Peter. You're up Schitt's Creek now, man.
I got 15 more. I introduced Pete to Dan Farron. They didn't know each other.
No, yeah.
And I said, I knew Dan because I was representing him, and I said, you two got to meet because I don't know anybody who's so into Friday the 13th as you two. And they met, and I would say you hit it off immediately.
Yeah. And Dan ended up writing the book. Yes.
And, that led to the book, and then the movie, the documentary.
And the movie, yeah. Wow. I can't believe that was 17 years, 16. No, wait. 2002. Oh my God.
Yeah, 19 years since the.
Oh my God. Wow. It was almost going to be longer since the book came out than the book from the original movie. I don't even know anymore. It's just a long time. It's a long time.
I've speaking of books, I actually had this book next to me the whole time and didn't even realize it.
Yeah. Well, Larry, Larry saw the original ending films, so you have it all in your memory banks, right? Yeah.
We talked about that.
Yeah. We actually have a question from Sinister Antics on Twitch. He wants to know if Larry or Peter ever bought any of the Friday the 13th novelization. So we're on to the novelization talk now.
Yeah, I was in a bookstore and they had 5 of those. They were 99 cents each, so I bought them all. And then I gave them away. Maybe I gave one to you.
Maybe. I read the original. I read part 6 when it came out, and then the Simon Hawke ones. That one I wasn't able to get at the time. I bought it later. But I remember buying the Jason Lives one. That's when I remember reading it, because back then the novelization would come out before the movie, which they would never do now. So they had the original ending with Jason's father and all that. So when I saw the movie, I was like, what the fuck? Like, where's the father? So yeah. And I remember buying the part 3 soundtrack album out. That was exciting. The 3D cover and the glasses, that was cool. I saved up my allowance for that.
I remember seeing that in the store and I didn't buy it, and I wish I had.
Yeah.
It'd be worth $1 million.
Yeah, and that was back when you had to search for things. Like, you couldn't just order off the internet. So I remember going to like 6 record stores and calling them and trying to find it, because it wasn't an easy to find item, man. Yeah, good old times. Yeah.
Exactly.
Have you anything else you'd like to ask Larry about the lawsuit or anything, Peter?
I guess, yeah. Maybe you talked about it. What do you think is not? What do you think is going to happen? Or
it doesn't seem like Sean has seemed too anxious to get going on this. It's really in Sean's hands.
Well, is it like up to a studio to come and say, okay, we want to buy, I guess, someone to make an overture, and that starts?
Warner Brothers controls the movie.
Well, because
they own the. No, Warner Brothers.
Yeah. The actual negatives, though, the Paramount movies are still.
They own the movies, but the right to make new movies.
Okay, all right.
Is a Warner Brothers. Right?
Okay.
Warner Brothers.
I didn't know if it expired, because don't they have to make a movie in a certain amount of time, or the rights, something happens, or no, is that not?
Yeah, 35 years. That's what happens.
Oh no, sometimes like they have a thing.
I see. Yeah. They didn't make a movie in a certain amount of time.
Yeah,
The trademark is owned by Warner Brothers.
Yes.
You can't make a movie called Friday the 13th without Warner Brothers thing. Now they've done right. That's why after there was a time when Paramount owned the trademark, and that's why after 8, the movies were no longer called Friday the 13th until the remake.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's a free agent.
Yeah.
I saw it today. I tweeted out because LeBron James got a whole bunch of money for his Spring Hill thing. I'm like, okay, why don't you take that money and buy the rights and go make the movie?
Yeah. Wow. Well, great. Well, this is a huge thing, though, right? We're a pretty big step closer to something happening than we were before, at least.
Yeah, they were waiting. So.
Yeah. Is it possible for one of them just to say, look, I don't want to make another movie. I don't want the money, and just sit on it? Like either Victor. So it's okay.
Mm.
But that's not Victor. That's Sean.
Yeah, well, sure.
Victor doesn't have any money.
Yeah.
So yeah, because I think now that it's over, everybody just assumes, oh well, we'll have a new movie next year, or we'll have a new movie. Yeah. They'll announce it anytime now that it's happening.
But yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it's in Sean's hands. Victor has not gotten any money, so he's not. He's anxious to get the money. So
sure. Yeah, because I worry that like someone comes and says, "Here, let's do this movie," and then one of the others like, "Oh, it's not a good enough deal," and then you start arguing about deal points, and it never gets solved.
That's right, because it's like, what is the split? And
that is and you can't make. Is it true that you couldn't make a movie just called like Jason in the Woods? Because if Victor owns the first movie, could you just make a Friday the 13th movie that doesn't involve anything from the first movie and try to cut Victor out like that way? Or does that make sense?
I said you could take Jason and give him a different backstory.
Yeah. Okay.
But is it a Friday the 13th movie then? It's not Crystal Lake. It's not
Jason's father went crazy.
Yeah, but then you're just not. You're just saying like.
True.
I'm just making a different character at that point. Just a guy with a hockey mask.
Yeah.
Okay, you do a part 5 remake.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I love that. Yeah.
Or we could find out that Jason had a twin named Mason.
Yeah.
Who lives in not Crystal Lake. Voorhees. Yeah, Mason Voorhees. He lives in Clear Lake. And here, there we go. We're writing this thing for him.
Okay, we got it going.
Okay,
Sean calls. We'll get all right, I gotta go.
Okay, Larry, thank you so much for your time, man. It was great talking to you. Take care.
Thanks everyone for watching, and take care. All right.
Thank you, man. Take care.
Okay.
All right. So am I jumping off too?
Let me go ahead and wrap it up here, and then we'll talk privately. I need to talk to you about something privately,
Yeah.
Peter.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. All right. So thanks, guys. Thank y'all later.
You're in trouble. You're in trouble, by the way.
Oh shit.
All right. I want to give thank everybody for tuning in tonight. It's been a lot of fun. Sorry I didn't get to your question, Gabe, but I think we all would like a Shelley action figure. I know I certainly would. Big shout out to Gabe. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat, and thank you, Nico, for the $5 super chat. Very kind of you both. Yeah, let's see who's still with us tonight here. Mr. Zomb, Rock Music 90. There's Nico, Joe Reese. There's Christian Hanna. Schmuckles. Hello, Schmuckles. Justin Murad, Mike C, Entertainment Wizard. Jimmy. There's Todd Farmer in the chat. Jamie is in the chat. Just Me is in the chat. Thank you all for tuning in. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks again to Larry for the time, and thanks again for Peter hopping on. It's always a pleasure seeing Peter on the channel. So, all right, you guys take care. Have a great one. Thank you all again for tuning in. And until next time, peace.